Gaming Capsules.
Those of you visiting my channel lately might have noticed that I have a sweet spot for brawlers. What can I say? There's nothing more satisfying than punching and kicking your way through a game. So, I'm always happy when I see that the genre hasn't been given up on by game studios. Dusk Diver is advertised as an anime action-adventure RPG, but it's really more of a punch bad guys until they stop being bad variety. However, this might not be quite up to everybody's cup of tea, so I will try to do my best to answer the following question. Is this particular brawler for you? In today's Gaming Capsules episode, we'll be reviewing the Nintendo Switch version of Dusk Diver Ximending. The game is set in modern-day Ximending, a shopping district of Taipei in Taiwan. Dimensional rifts begin to open in the neighborhood, allowing humans and phantoms to cross over between Ximending and its alternate dimension equivalent, Ximending. It's up to Yumo, a high schooler who loves to learn martial arts from TV to protect her neighborhood. During her adventure, she will befriend gods who will grant her powers, meet up with troubled residents in need of assistance, and fight mysterious creatures. Meanwhile, she'll also get a chance to sightsee around Ximending, try local delicacies, and spend time with her friends. The story itself is interesting, although overall nothing really original or mind-blowing. It's the characters that really make the experience worthwhile, as everyone is very likable, and the game offers a lot of opportunities for them to interact with each other.
你在说些什么啊？才没这种事情！狮子什么的，一定是你鱼脑记错了。
的确呢，因为我是鱼脑的关系，明天可能又会再办一次一日店长也说不定哦。
这死女人！
啊，好了啦，好了啦。
Really, it's the interaction between these and the other supporting characters from Dusk Diver that kept me wanting to see more, and got me invested in its world building. In fact, the game allows increasing friendship stats by fighting alongside or doing activities with them, which triggers special events that both give a better insight to the characters and unlocks more moves for them to perform. This gameplay loop seems to have been pulled straight out of a Persona game, and I will be bringing up both Persona and Shin Megami Tensei again later in this review, as this game sometimes feels like a Persona brawler in everything but name. Personally speaking, that's something I can get on board with. One important thing to note is that there are quite a few typos here and there in the in-game text, though they never make the game impossible to understand or really ruin the overall experience too much. The in-game text can be set to English, traditional Chinese, Japanese, or Korean, while the voice acting offers both Japanese and Chinese. Sadly, no English dub for those of you who require it, but, with the exception of a few battle cries, everything is usually displayed in text as well. It's actually interesting to have a game like this with Chinese voice acting, as it does really add to the experience of being in Ximending. The Japanese voice acting features some familiar names, like Rina Sato, who voiced Makoto in Persona 5, and Velvet in Tales of Berseria, here voicing Yumo, the main protagonist. There's also Ryota Takeuchi, the voice actor behind Ring a Bell in Bravely Default, and Abigail in Street Fighter V, here voicing the badass Leo. The visuals are the most striking aspect of the game. The character designs and 2D artwork are very appealing if you enjoy manga and anime, which I honestly do. You'll be seeing a lot of them during the visual novel-like dialogues. You can unlock in-game galleries, where you can see various concept arts and various artworks. The in-game 3D visuals are actually very stylish. When you're visiting Ximending, faraway NPCs are represented by colorful silhouettes. This is not unlike Tokyo Mirage, the Shin Megami Tensei and Fire Emblem crossover title for the Wii U. While this throws realism out of the window, I personally appreciate it, as it makes everything pop out even more, and it's actually visually pleasing. It also allows the city to look crowded, as you see all these splashes of colors representing people all over the place. Whenever you approach them, the characters start to become more detailed, although they look very simple, almost like in a Dreamcast title. The funny thing is that, in-game, the gods mention how humans all look the same to them, And it's both chuckle-worthy and fitting when you have all these NPCs that appear faceless surrounding them.
気を失ってしまったようね。ベーだね。なんで
The player character models, on the other hand, are nicely detailed and well animated. The game also offers a couple of costume changes, including Super Sentai outfits. Power Rangers Musou, what? The Ximending district and its locales all look nice and convincing. Where the graphics take a more serious hit is in the Ximending, its alternate dimension, which is where all of the fighting and most of the game time is spent. Sadly, these areas tend to look quite drab and repetitive. There's thankfully some variety, like the stage in the rain and a couple of the last levels, which look pretty cool. But a majority of the missions and side quests in the game are spent in this dark blue blocky area. Likewise, enemy models also like a bit of variety, and all of this makes things feel more monotonous than they should. The soundtrack is both catchy and appealing. I thought that the real-world music was fun and managed to keep me going around Ximending without ever getting tired of it. The battle tracks were a bit of a different story. While they sound great, and the compositions do add to the energetic feeling of the fast-paced combat, there is sadly not enough of it. The track you hear on the first battle, well, it's the same one that you'll be hearing for most of the main missions and basically all of the side quests. I think that more background color variety, environment effects, and extra battle tracks would have gone a long way in making the fights and platforming feel fresh. So, here is where we get to the meat of Dusk Diver. The gameplay is the most important aspect in the brawler genre, but it's also its usual downfall, as repetitiveness and monotony are kind of a staple. The game feels and controls a lot like Musou or Senran Kagura games, where you have light and strong attacks, specials, dashes to dodge or cancel out of moves, jumps with aerial movesets, and a temporary powered-up mode, which makes you plow through enemies faster. If you played any of those aforementioned titles, you'll mostly feel right at home in the combats, although Dusk Diver does offer a couple of really nice additions, in the form of your partners. See, each of your partners has their own specialties. Leo, the gangster-looking badass, is a close-range powerhouse. Bahe, the vampire-looking youngster, is good at setting up combos and taking out surrounding enemies, while the well-endowed Leviada is great at marketing the game. And she's actually a lot of fun, as she uses firearms to break enemy armor from afar and landmines to set traps on the ground. There's a very good synergy between the different types of attacks. Each character has a cooldown period and can only be called in to assist, while the blue meter under your health bar permits it. You can constantly switch between partners and perform long strings of team attacks to keep your combos going. Just like in Musou titles, long combos also increase drops from enemies, which in turn keep your gauges filling up faster. There is a just defense system in place where dodging an enemy attack at the last moment fills up your blue gauge and slows down time, allowing you to move faster than your opponents and get more hits in easily. This actually gives fights a really good feel and rhythm, and my fingers were constantly going from one button to another on the controller, repeatedly dodging attacks, swapping out and calling up partners, while I kept my own strings of attack going. There is actually a really nice flow to the combats. While it's admittingly fairly slow in the beginning, and it takes some time to get going, once all of the pieces are in place, it does get pretty exciting. Sadly, it can be hard to know when enemies are about to attack you if they are out of sight, and while the game allows you to lock onto enemies, locking on to strong enemies can be difficult when they're surrounded by their tiny minions, as no priority seems to be given by the system. There are some 3D platforming segments and other gimmicks in stages as well. The platforming is very simple and not too dissimilar to what you would find in early third-party N64 or PlayStation 1 titles. Some of it can be fairly challenging, and your mileage may vary when it comes to finding them fun or frustrating. While falling from platforms doesn't punish you with death or a game over screen, it does teleport you to the very first platform. There are no checkpoints in the middle of these segments, so you might see yourself restarting these from the beginning quite often, especially when trying to obtain optional items. Besides this, you'll also encounter other gimmicks, such as a stage focused on teleport mazes and a stealth stage. There is some light exploration in the form of hidden items in stages, but it can sometimes be difficult to know where you can and can't go, thanks to an abundance of invisible walls. The level design, honestly, never quite reaches its potential, and doesn't complement the fighting system as well as it should. Outside of the Ximending fighting areas, the game plays more like a Persona-light JRPG. You can boost stats and learn new moves by spending skill points acquired in stages. You can eat together with partners or go to the movie theater to make them level up and get stronger. There are also various NPCs in need of help who will give you side quests to do around the district, which also boosts your attacks and unlock items and shops for you to visit. You can even spend money on gacha machines to unlock costumes and gallery objects. A lot of these are simple and feel kinda low budget, but they do a great job in adding to the overall charm of the game, and it did make me care about the world that this was taking place in. You get to form a sense of familiarity with the map, and you get to learn a bit about what you're fighting to protect. Meanwhile, doing these things powers you up, which is a fulfilling gameplay loop. For reference, it took me about 14 hours to reach the end, and it will probably take a bit longer to complete all of the side content. Overall, while some of the game might sound tedious or outdated, I have to admit that I still very much enjoyed it. The whole experience was, for me, better than its individual parts. The game is a bit of a time anomaly. In terms of design, it would have felt right at home on the Dreamcast or the PlayStation 2, back when games were allowed to be this simple and weird, and it really takes me back. So, if you think a simplified Persona game with Senran Kagura-like battles and N64-like platforming sounds appealing, you might want to check this out as well. It's certainly rough around the edges, and I don't think this is the kind of game that would appeal to the modern masses. But I still want to see more titles like this, and I certainly hope that its makers will try their hand at refining the game some more in a sequel. There's certainly a lot of potential here. I do want to point out that I had the game crash twice when going to the changing room. Thankfully, the changing room is right next to the save point, so I would advise saving before using it, just in case. I did play a pre-release build of the game, so this will hopefully be fixed on launch or in the future. The Switch version is also apparently locked at 30 FPS, with frame rate drops in certain areas of the shopping district or when things get too crazy in battles, although most of the battles seem to run smoothly, at least most of the time. I'm assuming these issues are unique to the Switch version, as it's the usual trade-off for having an action-heavy game on the portable device. If constant 60 FPS is important for you, you might want to check out the PS4 or PC version. On the flip side, many of the side quests and extra stages are perfect for playing this game in small bursts while on a daily commute. Dusk Diver is currently available worldwide on Steam and available digitally and physically for the Switch and PS4 in Europe and Asia. The Switch digital release in North America is in October 29th. There will also be a physical release in North America in late November, which will include an art book and some pins. I will add some helpful links in the video's description below, including where you can purchase the physical edition, as well as an affiliate link for the Asian copies of the game, should you be interested in those. So, will you be playing Dusk Diver? What are your favorite games in the genre? Let me know in the comment section below. Feel free to also leave any other questions or comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you like our content and would like to see more in the future. Well, have a great day, and until next time.